This Week in Habsland. I am Jordan and he is Brian, and we are here to discuss all things Montreal Canadiens. You can find us on social media at Habsland Pod. Brian, the Canadiens are now 10-3-2 and coming off, I think, almost undoubtedly their best period of the season against Utah on Saturday night. So, as is tradition with Montreal Canadiens fans, let's try to get ahead of the next thing people are going to complain about. Brian, what is it? What does your crystal ball tell you of this team is off to their best start since, I don't know, it's at least 6 or 7 years. I think certainly 2016, which was a ill-fated season. But point is, they're off to a really great start, but people have to complain. That is the rule in fandom. What's the next thing? What's on the precipice? What's cutting edge complaint territory?
I've got 3 for you in true Brian fashion.
Yeah.
The first one being the one that people had been complaining about and probably still will, despite the fact that I was right and Monty just needed more time, right? Didn't he look really good? He looked really good. That first goal on the first shot, okay, maybe could have had that. It was a rebound where the guy didn't get tied up in the slot. Hey, another open guy in the slot. Getting used to that. But I think he looked very good. And all week I thought he looked pretty good. The Saturday game of last week on Tuesday, and then this Saturday, he definitely outplayed Vejmelka. So that's the one that I think people are still just people who don't always watch the games and just look, his save percentage is still only .864. He's trash. No, there's a little more nuance here. So that's one, but we can put that aside. We've talked about Monty enough. The one that I still have an issue with is that they're not playing full games. You said that was the best period of the season. I agree with you. Totally. It was. What happened prior to that? 2 really bad periods, or at least 1.5 really bad periods. So that's an issue. They have to play full games. But the real one, Jordan, the thing I think you're going to be driving at is the refereeing. Yeah. And that's an easy one to complain about because you don't have to throw Monty under the bus or go, the top line's disappointing, which they're not. Or, Doc's not going to figure it out, which he is. So there's not a lot to complain about with the team itself. The full games thing aside, you can look outside now and go, ooh, what's happening with the refs?
Okay, happy you brought that up. So with Montembeault, all we have to do is lobby the NHL to start the Habs games at 7:30 like they used to be, because that's all that's messing up Monty right now. I think he ain't ready for those first 4 or 5 shots of the game. From that point onwards, he's actually quite good. The refereeing, I brought this up on Saturday night. I think the boys just take a lot of penalties. This has been something that's been gnawing at you for years of how undisciplined the team is.
Mm-hmm.
The conspiracy theory stuff is fun, but the Canadiens were 3rd in the NHL last year in penalties taken per 60. Since the Edmonton game, when they all, Galley and St. Louis and the guys came out and, spoke up against the refs, they are 3rd in the NHL in penalties taken per 60 minutes.
So nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. It's all relative, right? They are a team that takes a lot of penalties. So nothing changed there.
What I'm seeing on the flip side of that, I agree with you. So a great example of this, the new hook penalty, the new hook in the most recent game. That was not an obvious hook when you looked at the first angle that they showed on the broadcast, at least the English broadcast that I happened to be watching. And then we came back from commercial and I had calmed down and watched the other angle. And I was like, oh, it's because the little toe of his stick just got into the elbow or the hands there and just pulled his arms away from his body. He lost control of the puck. Obvious textbook hooking call. The ref got it right. Where I think they might be getting it wrong is when Anderson gets completely interfered with and knocked to the ice and then can't get back. But the Canadiens' issue on that play was that they didn't keep playing hockey. They didn't play the whistle. Play the whistle. I think we had this discussion 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. The same thing happened. You have to play the whistle. Play until the play is actually dead, till something's called. Because 3 Canadians were just standing there with their arms in the air outstretched, hey, where's the call? And meanwhile, there's an odd man rush going the other way. So I think that's more of an issue than anything else. If the refs are giving you bad calls, don't help them out, first of all, because you're totally right. The Habs take too many penalties. And then second of all, play the whistle, man. It's so basically simple.
Yeah, and also on that end, in terms of penalties drawn per 60, 9th last year, 13th since the Edmonton game. Really, data is telling us it's limited change. I'm not saying the referees are good. The refereeing can still be quite mediocre, but relative to how things have been called pre and post Edmonton, basically the same. The easy answer, by the way, is Joe Veleno. It's low-hanging fruit, and the 4th line does need to be better.
Sure.
But that's the next thing, I think.
What do you expect of Joe Veleno, though?
I think we talked about this. It's people want, it's the unproven new prospect is always better than the guy that's come from out of town. Ironically, the local kid, but that
Yeah,
anyways,
okay.
it's
Let them bitch about that. I don't believe in that one, but that's you're definitely right. Fans will.
yeah, okay. So let's dive into our headlines. There's a bunch of other interesting stuff that's happened in the past week or so we can get into it. Brian, if it's okay, I'd like to start with yours because I think yours is
Sure.
I don't want to bury the lead on the hero of Saturday night. So go for it.
Cole Caufield is a god, man. He's so damn good at putting those little rubber cylinders into rectangles that happen to have twine in them. Wherever he sees a rectangle with twine, he's putting that rubber cylinder in there. 12 goals in 15 games. He had the 2 goals against the Utah Mammoth, and yeah, he's doing. I've already talked about his play without the puck and his play other than goal scoring, but let's talk about the goal scoring now because that's the real thing. And he's been outstanding. He's on pace for a stupid amount of goals. And the other thing that I want to jump to here is that the rest of the team is helping him. It's not entirely on his shoulders. So my headline is by Cole and by committee, because it's both. I want to ask you this question as a sort of jumping off point into the by committee thing. When was the last season that 8 or more Montreal Canadiens scored 20 goals? Because right now, the Habs are on pace to have 8 players have 20 goal seasons. Caufield's got 12. He's on pace for a stupid amount, like I said. Newhook, Kapanen, Slafkovsky all have 6. Doc's got 5. Suzuki, Demidov, and Bolduc all have 4. Really impressive. So when was the last time this happened? And if you want to give me some, even like, oh, when they had 5 or more, 7 or more, I tried to compile a few different seasons where this was interesting.
So 8 has actually happened?
8 has actually
Wow.
happened. Yeah,
Wow.
but it was not recent.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Obviously.
I don't think it's the Joe Juno season where it was happening.
No, it was not.
Wow. Yeah, the 70s. I don't know.
So very close. So the 80s, there was a 9 20 goal.
Okay.
I could not have said that worse. There were 9 Montreal Canadiens who had 20 goal seasons in 1982, 1983 season. Napier had 40, Schutt had 35, Tremblay had 30, then Walter, Mondu, Lafleur, Naslund, Wickenheiser, and Acton, all with more than 20. The lowest had 24.
Wow.
Unreal year. Obviously, that's during the era where goals go in like hotcakes and everybody's scoring, but still really impressive stuff. In 95-96, which we just talked about recently, Turgeon, that year where Turgeon and Danfus both had 38 goals, there were 7 players. Recchi, Ruchinski, Savage, Bure, Koivu, they were all in there as well. And then 06-07 more recently, there were 5. That's the best of the past like 20 years. Ryder had 30. That was the year Surrey had 26. Koivu 22, Higgins 22, and Plekanec 22. So like this shit is rare, which tells me 2 things. One, holy crow, the Habs are amazing offensively this year. It helps that the power play since Demidov has joined has been just unreal, basically 50%. And then the other thing is that it's not sustainable. Most likely it's not sustainable. If this hasn't happened since 82, 83, what are the odds that this continues? And that brings me back to Cole, that when your amazing goal scorers are scoring amazing goals, whether you're getting it by committee or not, that helps a ton. So what do you think? Do you agree with that likely this is not a trend that's going to continue? And if so, who are those guys that like Bolduc maybe, or maybe Demidov is more of an assist guy, Kapanen's surely playing above his head, Newhook, like who's going to fall off?
So it's an interesting to think about like the depth scoring ultimately is what we're talking about. Everybody after Cole. I think we have enough of a track record with Suzuki and Slafkovsky that they'll get 20 to 30. I think Demidov's talent is undeniable. Now, you identified it correctly. Like might be more of an assist guy. So he's probably, I don't think he's the one of the guys on pace for 20 anyway, but like
as of now, he is 4 goals in 15 games is whatever, 23, 24,
okay,
something like that.
So no, they're not going to get 8 guys to score 20 plus goals. That would be unreal. The reality is, I think, and I just mentioned it, like the fourth line's producing nothing offensively. So it's more, some areas are underperforming, some areas are overperforming. And I do think, despite some of the consternation with the people have with the middle 6, Alex Newhook is kind of leading the charge in this group after Demidov. And we can talk about his week and a half that he's been having where he's just scoring every time he just decides to shoot the puck. It also makes sense that there's guys between the ages of 20 and 24 suddenly getting really, really good. That's what's supposed to happen with hockey players that are properly developed. So it's a weird feeling to have this much depth scoring which, I mean, again, on the other hand, you do have, so while you have Kapanen, I think not going to continue to score at this rate, honestly.
Right.
I think Slafkovsky, we'll get to him in with my headline, but I think that one's a TBD. You do have the other end where it's like Josh Anderson, while we don't view him as an offensive dynamo, maybe some of us never did. He is, what does he have? 1 goal in the season. That's probably something you want to bump up. Brendan Gallagher, snake bitten, start the year. Hasn't put anything in the net. Has tons of assists, but hasn't scored yet. Jake Evans has 2, and I believe one of those 2 is an empty netter.
Yeah.
So, and then you can go to the defensive as well. Once you get past the big 3 guys, there's really crickets. So it feels like the bottom part's a little bit quieter than it should be. Not saying it's going to like really start to overperform, but in terms of how many goals they're scoring per game, this feels like the right amount. Maybe it's a pinch high, and I haven't looked at like the team shooting percentage at 5-on-5 or whatever, but I don't know. Tell me how the power play is going to get worse. They're not going to convert 50%, but if you tell me that power play 1's going to convert 25 to 27% of the time, then that's certainly going to help those 5 guys on the ice get more goals. So the depth part is really interesting. Like right now you can't break up the Kapanen line because they just keep scoring goals. At any moment you think, hey, maybe it's time to try Kirby, and then Oliver Kapanen scores a goal, and then Alex Newhook scores a goal. So while there's still things that need to be fixed, I think in terms of offense or generating quality offense and translating that into goal scoring, the depth on this team after you get past the first line, and even Suzuki slowly starting to turn it up now from a goal scoring perspective. Right. There's a lot there to be liked. What about you? Like, do you think, forget the 20 goal scorers, like,
sure.
Do you think this balance of goal scoring after Cole is kind of emblematic of what we're going to see for the whole season?
For the whole season and for the future. The way that this team is built, it's not built around 1 or 2 superstars who score all of the goals and then everybody else just plays defense. This is a team that, when utilized properly and when deployed properly, comes at you in waves. And so I really do believe that maybe right now we might not get 20 goal scorers. Maybe we'll get 5 or 6, still the best in 20 years. But eventually, when everybody's in their prime and new guys have come in and maybe the second line center is more sure-footed, and whether it's a guy who's currently on the team or someone else who's going to come in or somebody who's in our farm system, who knows? But I think that's a realistic point in our future where we might hit that again. And that's a really exciting thing. And the glimmer of hope that we have right now, seeing how many guys are on pace for such good numbers in terms of goals is surely a positive thing. You're right about the power play being so crucially important to goal scoring. The thing is about that in terms of depth scoring, there's not one depth player on the first unit of the power play. Obviously, why would you put one there? So all of the people on the first unit, with the exception of Lane Hudson, who's an assist monster, will definitely get to 20 goals or more, barring something bad happening. So I think it's amazing. The goal scoring for the Canadians in years past and through multiple eras of the last 30 years since we've been watching hockey have been boring, abysmally boring. 1-0 games that you're thanking your lucky stars that Price made 38 saves so you could just hold on to the win, and you got 1 single goal on a power play point shot. Super exciting. Wow, we love that. Now it's a completely different story. We're winning games 6-2.
Yeah.
Holy crow. And that brings up another point that I meant to mention earlier when you're asking me just like how the team's doing. Hey, 10 wins in the first 15 games, kind of incredible. The amount that we are putting the puck in the net versus letting goals in. Last year, we won most of our games by a goal, and we lost most of our games by more than that. And this year, we're still winning by not so much. We don't seem to be getting blown out. I mean, we haven't lost that many games yet, but also we're able to win by multiple goals, which is nice. And I hope that they continue the way that they played, at the very least, the third period against Utah. Because when you have a lead, you pile on. Montreal Canadiens are not the type of team that can sit back on their heels, wait for the opposition to come and just defend. You're going to get lit up if you do that. You just keep going. You just keep putting pucks on net. You do the Alex Newhook thing, and you just blast into the offensive zone at all times.
I mean, like, one kind of funny thing is I'm pretty sure Saturday night was the first non-one goal game the Canadiens played in. Empty netters aside, right? We have the Evans empty netter against Buffalo. The Leafs get empty netters at the end of that first game. I guess
is it really the first?
I think Detroit actually. So there's the Detroit win, and then there's Saturday night.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that those are the only empty net goals aside, only non one goal game the Canadians have played. And now they've played in 7 overtime shootout games. So that kind of
Right.
helps. And then there's a couple other 1 goal games, or again, empty netters make it a 2 or 3 goal game.
So does that concern you? Does that concern you, the fact that a bounce goes the opposite way and the Habs are not 10-3-2 or maybe, I don't know, 6-8-1, something like that?
The 2 overtime or shootout losses this week, I think, help reflect the record a bit more accurately to what they were. I don't think they were quite 9-3-0. That record probably going in, they're 7-4-1 probably felt more right going into it. So the fact that they picked up some losses, they're 10-3-2, that kind of makes more sense to me. We've buried Cole again. So if we can just mention what he's doing again this year that he did last year, it's not just snipes from the slot or 12 feet out or 9 feet out or
Right.
15 feet out or on the power play. He look where he scored his goals on Saturday. Like, he is right at the net, right at the edge of the crease. This is how you get the 40 goals, by the way, right? Like, maybe this is how you get the 50 goals. I don't know. But like, and I really wanted to, and I couldn't really find anything online about like his shot distance versus, or this year compared to last year, or his shots on goal. No, sorry, not shots on goal. Where his goals are scored this year compared to last year. I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet. I just didn't have time to find it. But I would venture a guess that it's gotten a little bit closer each of the past 2 seasons. And that
Definitely.
he is
Yeah.
learning. Not only do I have a wicked shot, I also have a great sense for where there's a little extra gap. And despite the fact that he's 5'7", it doesn't matter. He can find those little pockets of space. So I wanted to shout that out because, like, what is it? Essentially the game-winning goal, I believe, right? It's the 3-2 goal that puts them up in the
Yep.
third period. That's just like, that's nose for the net. That's a Gallagher goal, really.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
you're right there. You bang it on the goalie's pads once or twice, and it goes in the net.
Yeah.
So like, I just wanted to put a light on that because we talk about, we mentioned it last week, right? Like, best goal scorers and how you define a goal scorer is different. If you can sprinkle in 20% of Gallagher and that type of goal scoring into Cole Caufield, you get, like, he elevates 2 or 3 levels in terms of NHL wide, in terms of goaltending, goal scoring.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And we saw both types. We saw that one. And then in the same game, we also saw the snipe from about 3 inches off of the goal line.
Yeah.
Like 10 feet away, which the chef's kiss of seeing Vejmelka, because goalies don't ever do that. You never see a goalie look down at his positioning and be like, where was the hole? Vejmelka did that almost immediately. Cole starts celebrating, and you just see Vejmelka's head just turn to his right. Like, where was I didn't think I was leaving a hole. Yeah, you left a puck-sized hole for Cole Caufield. He's going to find it.
Yeah. The one other thing that I've been keeping an eye on, and I wanted to dive into the numbers a bit, and I think this is a good time to bring it up when we're talking about quality of shots, is, and it hasn't totally bit the Canadians yet, but I think it's one of the subplots of the season of, man, they're just not shooting the puck enough until they do, right? We've seen it time and time again where they'll go like 8 or 9 minutes into a game and have a shot, or it'll be 10, 12 minutes into a period and have 2 shots. Or I even think it was Saturday night against Utah where they had 1 shot on goal in the first 11 minutes of the period. It was a goal. So part of it is like, the Habs do legitimately have game breakers this year. Not that they didn't have all these guys last year. Demidov elevates them a bit, but Caufield's gone better, Newhook's gone better, Suzuki's there, like, there's enough guys where you're like, oh, they can just score a goal with the skill and move on. But something that's been kind of in the back of my head, it's that Vasilevsky quote I brought up a few weeks ago about teams are being, and players are being more selective about the quality of shot they have rather than the quantity. So I took a bit of a look here, and look, it's still a bit of a small sample, but I took a look at 5-on-5, basically shot attempts per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 from last season and compared them to this season. And then I did the same with expected goals. And what my hypothesis was, I think the number of shot attempts has gone down per minute at 5-on-5, but expected goals per minute at 5-on-5. And I'm just doing the per 60 thing because just so the sampling gets a little less chaotic. I think the quality, expected goals has gone up, but the number of shot attempts has gone down. The number so far this year compared to last year is shot attempts per 60 is down almost 2%, whereas expected goals per 60 is up 4%. So,
so hypothesis confirmed. And this is for the entire NHL. This isn't just the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, whole NHL. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see. It's still like, it's still a small trend, but there's a trend forming there. And I would like to be able to have spend a bit more time on this and go back a couple more years and see if there's been a larger trend at play of shot attempts slowly going down. And we're not talking 20%, but maybe it is 2 or 3% every year, but expected goals continues to rise 1 or 2%. And we're always talking margins, right? It's always very small margins in hockey. And I think the Canadians very much fall into this category of we will watch them. They'll have 80 seconds in the offensive zone. And it's like, I know it's like the classic, like Bell Center shoot. Like it's like we say it all the time, but like more often than not, especially this season, it's like, yeah, why did we not shoot the puck yet? It's been 35 seconds. Like, but they're always, and part of it is I think Hudson and Demidov are two like perfectionists of like, no. I can hold on to the puck 8 more seconds and find the spot. So maybe it's just those guys skewing it, but have you been noticing that too? Like they're becoming really selective, almost to their detriment, but they have the game breaking talent to correct it.
So 2 things on this. The first one is completely anecdotal, and those of you who watched the most recent game, the Utah Mammoth game, will remember this. Doc has a breakaway, and he dropped passes to Gallagher, who doesn't get the pass, and then no shot, like from breakaway opportunity. And yes, he's being pestered from the side, so maybe he didn't have the best opportunity to take a shot or make a deke. Like that's totally fair. Drop pass to Gallagher. Gallagher can't corral it. It's too far. And then the play goes to die. So that's like a rush chance that was voided basically because of this looking for perfection thing. Anecdotal, but still counts. The other thing is that Martin St. Louis has said that when they have the lead, when the Canadians have the lead, especially a multi-goal lead, he's happier when they spend a minute and a half in the offensive zone than if they get in for 20 seconds, take a shot, and then it comes back the other way. They're not necessarily looking to score and up the lead. They're looking to run out the clock while being in the offensive zone. So I think they're being coached to look for the perfect opportunity and not waste chances, because for the first time in a long time, the Canadians have multiple lines and multiple defensive pairings who are capable of cycling in the offensive zone. That's not something we've had. The first line is unbelievable at it. There was one shift where Slafkovsky and Caufield were just absolutely pestering the defense for about 15 seconds, where they, like, the defense for Utah was just passing the puck back and forth behind the net, trying to find a seam out. Caufield was just on them like glue, and Slafkovsky was hitting them both with his long reach, getting the puck. Eventually they get it past to Suzuki, one-timer from the slot, nearly goes in. That line's unbelievable at it. The second line's figuring it out. 2 rooks, so it'll take a while, but they're figuring it out. Doc, Gallagher, Budzuk, they're figuring it out. And even the vets, like, not great, but they're figuring out how to cycle and keep the puck in the offensive zone, and that keeps the opposition from coming back and putting the puck in your net, getting chances there. So I think it's a combination of the two. They're looking for the perfect thing because, yes, they have the very astute Hudson, Demidov. I would say even Suzuki at times looking for the perfect opportunity.
For sure.
Whereas, Caufield, it's just, oh, there's an opening, I'm going to take it. And that's again, coming back to him, that's what separates him from the rest. Mm-hmm. Is they all have this philosophy of wait for the perfect opportunity. He's able to create it out of nothing for himself very often.
Yeah. It's just something to keep monitoring, right? Because this has been a bit of a subplot of the Canadians not struggling to get 20 shots, but almost unbothered by the fact that they're not at 20 shots on goal yet. And let's just monitor that through the year and see if there's a larger trend in the NHL or the Canadians and how that affects their defensive numbers and how that affects their shooting percentage and how much they have to rely on the power play to score. We'll keep monitoring it.
What are the odds that, philosophy-wise, the very smart heads of the Montreal Canadiens management and coaching staff got together at the beginning of the year and said, you see that over there? You see that red and black swirl of the Carolina Hurricanes? You see how boring and terrible they are? Let's not be that.
What are the odds of that? Very low, but I appreciate you willing that into existence. Okay.
Oh, they're boring. Anyway,
let's go into my headline of the week, and then we'll go into a fun part too. So my headline is Slaftastic, which I recognize Juraj Slafkovsky didn't score this week. He picked up a couple of assists, a couple nice assists. But what I wanted to focus on is I love it when the eye test starts to match the numbers, and maybe even more specifically when the eye test starts to match. Oh, that's what I thought he was going to start doing. And I really feel like the dam is going to break soon with Slafkovsky. And the real big breakout's going to happen. Look, he has 6 goals and 3 assists over 15 games. Points-wise, that's basically on pace for what he's done each of the last 2 seasons. The imbalance of the goals and assists, I think, will sort itself out. What I really liked over this past week and why I wanted to talk about Slaf a bit more was he is doing the thing again where he is puck is going to the boards and he is walking away with it. And he is, and maybe even not necessarily walking away with it, but slowing it down to where one of his teammates comes in, or whether they can finish a line change, or whether it just bumps to a second defenseman and then Suzuki goes in and wins the puck, or if it goes up a bit and Jaden Strubl's there, or someone else is around to help win the battle. I'm noticing Slafkovsky be more confident and more successful in the board battles this season compared to last, kind of like he was in his sophomore year. We've all kind of thought eye test wise he was better in sophomore year versus last season. The other part with Slafkovsky, and I'm curious to know if you've started to like, maybe I'm just going to kind of open your eyes to it, is the processing's the other stuff, right? We know he can score 20 something goals, right? It was be physical, win battles on the boards. That's the one thing. The other thing is the processing, where it's like, man, sometimes he's just not up to speed. And look, he's playing with two wizards in Suzuki and Caufield. And then you add the fact that, at least right now, it seems like it's mostly Dobson, Matheson, so it's a little bit less Hudson than there was last year. But even that, Noah Dobson's no slouch, Mike Matheson's no slouch. I've certainly noticed in the past week, it's probably been happening longer, the processing with Slaf is catching up and maybe has caught up. And it was in the Philly game where there was one moment earlier in the Philly game where I was like, oh, that was a fast, like, tape to puck. And within a quarter second, it's off his stick again. And it's like, oh, I had to make that pass. And then there's it's a Demidov goal that gives them the lead against Philadelphia temporarily. And Hudson barely saves the puck at the blue line in the offensive zone. He gives it to Slafkovsky. There's no like, shoot, what should I be doing with this? It was boom, Demidov. Immediately recognized it has to go to the other guy. The other guy's more open. He's ready to shoot. It's kind of a one-timer. Then boom, Demidov scores the goal. And that to me was like, oh, he's getting there with it. The processing is getting there. There was a couple plays early in the first period against Utah as well, where there's a really quick pass to Caufield. Now the accuracy on the pass was a little bit off. So that's the next step of the progression here. But he had a really quick pass to Caufield in the slot. It's off by like 3 feet. And then he had more, again, like fast movement of, it was a Demidov to Slaf to hopefully Suzuki play tic-tac-toe on the power play in the first period. That one too, it was just a little bit off. And maybe like now his teammates have to get used to him passing so fast. But that was the other stuff. He has a zone entry on the Caufield goal to tie it. He has a deflection tip assist, which I'm happy he picked up that assist on the winner that Caufield scores. So he's around a lot. He's bringing pucks into the zone. He's winning the board battles. And now it's the processing it is getting there. And I'll stop there to like ask you your thoughts on like all the processing stuff, on the board battle stuff, before we get into the goal scoring aspect of it. So I want to park that part for a minute. Have you been seeing the same stuff I'm seeing, like of there just being a little bit more in terms of his offensive development from the parts that were saying, hey, like you do have to get better at this stuff? Are you seeing that as well?
Yes, 100%. I think that's very well said. We've been seeing it bit by bit over the seasons, and it's almost like it's an exponential graph where, yeah, we're seeing it grow a little bit each game over the past few seasons, and now it's in that really steep part of the curve where it's going to shoot up. I also agree with you that like 33 goals on the season, which is what he's on pace for. Yeah, he probably won't get to that, but he's also not going to only have like 16 or 17 assists, which is what he's on pace for. I think those are going to probably swap and he'll end up around 50. And that's totally fine. I think at the start, we were all saying like a successful Slafkovsky season is that he's at like 70 points and this and that, and he needs this many goals and assists. I really am starting to think that he's a facilitator who makes every single player on the ice around him better. Caufield scores 5 more goals because he's playing, forget 5, maybe 10 more goals this season because of Slafkovsky's ability to get the puck off the boards and feed a nice pass to him or to Suzuki or Hudson or someone else real fast. He makes Demidov better. He makes everybody around him so much better, and he might not get the glory for it on the score sheet, but his buddies will, and they're all going to know, oh, wow, what a play by Slaf. He might have only gotten the tertiary assist, which isn't tracked, but what a fake assist it was. So I think that's really what we're starting to see with Slafkovsky. The processing is starting to come in a big way. He was the best, but I know I'm just talking about Utah a lot, and perhaps that's because the 2 prior games, especially Philly, were so disappointing with the way they ended. But in the Utah game, when the Habs had a relatively slow start, Slafkovsky was the best player on the ice for both teams. Mm-hmm. He was everywhere, man, doing everything he possibly can. So it's coming. It's almost there. And as he gets more comfortable and confident, I think that's only going to grow. So like, again, just to reiterate, I think he's a facilitator who makes everybody around him that much better. And you won't see it on the score sheet for him yet, but everybody else you will.
He's going to make people's jobs easier. And part of that is going to be the space that he creates because he's able to take 2 players on the boards, or he's able to now, again, if you can quicken up the processing and the passing, we're going to be able to start leveraging that extra space. And if you're leveraging extra space for Cole Caufield, I think that's a pretty darn good recipe for success. On the goal scoring front. So we've talked about all the other stuff. And like, if all the other stuff has fallen into place, I have no doubts about the goal scoring because basically he should be scoring more. And I don't have a great answer as to why he's not scoring
more than he already has, you mean?
Yeah, specifically at 5-on-5.
Wow.
He has 4 power play goals. He only has 2 goals at 5-on-5. He is first on the team by a mile in individual expected goals at 5-on-5, 3.6. I think the next closest is Caufield at like 2.7.
Wow.
In his first 3 seasons, the conversion rate, so basically the number of goals he scores compared to the number of expected goals, it's at 91%, which is someone like Cole Caufield is going to be way over that. Caufield will always outperform his expected goals. Slafkovsky in the first part of his season is still, first part of his career so far, he's been a little bit under that. He's about 91%. So his expected goals over the past couple seasons has been, I think it's about 13 or 14, and he scores like 12 or 13. It's in around that number. He's closer to 60% this year. He has the 2 5-on-5 goals, his 3.6. So like it should be tilting up a bit. The stuff that's really exciting to me is his individual expected goals per 60 it's ironic. It's just 1 per game, 1 per 60. Last 2 years, 0.79, 0.74. So he's getting more chances. He should be converting more. The 5-on-5 shooting percentage, it's down from 12, 13% to just about 7.5%. So I think he's being more physical. He's being more engaged. He's starting to process the game a lot better. He's in the right spots clearly. If your expected goals really tells you you're in the right spot and shooting at the right moment. I think I can confidently bet on the shooting percentage bouncing back up to 12 to 13% at 5-on-5. And if that's happening, then you have a 25 goal scorer on your hands.
Well,
So
what's amazing about that statement is that he's already on, like I said, he's already on pace for like 32.
Right. So that's at 5-on-5.
So are you saying he's capable?
Yeah.
So, okay, the 5-on-5 thing. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
A lot of that's power play. Yeah.
Yeah. I misspoke about when I said 25. I mean, like that you can score 20 to 25 at 5-on-5.
At
then
5
throw
on
in the
5.
fact that
that would be unreal.
They're figuring out the power play and he's figuring out how to play in it and he's moving the puck better now. It's there. Point is, like, I think it's really there. I think we're really close at the non-goal scoring parts of his game. Sorry, I should clarify again. The non-5-on-5 goal scoring parts of his game are all looking pretty darn good. Goal scoring at 5-on-5, it's right there. And it's like I feel like the dam will break any day now and we will get a stretch of 7 goals in 6 games and it will look more appropriate. And I think this is just he's going to kind of get lost in the shuffle, I think. Right? Like if we're going to do our quarter point of the season, I'm sure we'll name like our Habs best players so far. I think there's a group of 7 at the top. He's not part of that group of 7. It's the 3 defensemen, the goalie, Suzuki, Caufield, and Demidov, right? He's not in that first 7. He's the next group. So he's going to get lost in the shuffle a bit. But I think it's like, don't forget about that progress because having a 6'4" winger who can score 25, 30 goals seems like an important thing, specifically for a team that wants to make postseason noise.
Especially a player who allows the first line of the Canadiens to be what they are, which is possession monsters.
Yeah.
They're like Suzuki and Caufield. I love them. But without Slafkovsky, if they had like Demidov on their line, who's unbelievable. Yeah, maybe they would produce more tic-tac-toe plays, but would they be possessing the puck as much and absolutely making the opposition's lives miserable? I don't think so. So he's just perfect in that role. He absolutely has been Slaftastic, and there's more to come.
Let's close the loop on this headline with this. Like, I know maybe I should have asked this at the beginning of this headline before maybe skewing your opinion, but like, where do you stand on this play right now? Because I've talked a lot about it, how it's all slowly coming together. But are you more or less confident now than you were, let's say, in the offseason? With Slaf reaching his potential, whatever you envisioned his potential as. Like in terms of the trajectory of he's 21 years old still.
Right.
And will be 21 most of the season. Is he still, and it's funny because he just played Logan Cooley. And Logan Cooley is currently viewed as the best player out of that draft. And Slaf is very much still in the conversation. But the quote was, we're looking to draft the best guy in 5 years, 10 years. Not the best guy right now. How do you feel about that? 3.5 years in.
So people can compare him to Cooley all they want. Have fun with that. Hudson's the best player out of that draft. So, everybody can chill the hell out. I still like Slafkovsky over Cooley because of all those other things that he does, but I'm biased, so who cares? Will he reach his potential? The goalpost is constantly changing with Juraj Slafkovsky, where at the beginning I thought this is a pure playmaker whose processing is fast enough and whose reach is good enough that he'll get to 60 assists in a few seasons. And then it became clear, oh no, he's not that guy. He's kind of everybody was calling him like a third line grinder with size who hits everything that moves and is good at puck possession and board battles and all that stuff that you love from an Anderson type. And then, flashing red light. Or did we just draft first overall a third line guy? And then now he's adding the goal scoring and going to the net and is great on the power play, being net front or bumper or wherever they put him. He's been really good. So will he reach his potential? I think absolutely. What is that potential? I have no earthly idea. I have no idea. By the end of this season, maybe he does score 34 goals and puts like 28 assists. And you go, holy crow, is he a sniper? Like, this is weird. But at the very least, all of the non-score sheet elements of his game have been unbelievable. They've been fantastic. And onto that, you can add all types of fun stuff. The same way that Caufield had to round out the other parts of his game in order to become this 40, 50, maybe 65 goal scorer like he's on pace for. Like, everybody has to round out their game before the fun elements can shine. And that's exactly what Slafkovsky's done. And at 21 years old, the fun elements are already starting to shine. So reaching his potential, undoubtedly so.
Yeah, and I can talk about Slafkovsky all day. I think he's the most intriguing player on the roster right now. And I'm saying that knowing fully well Demidov is there, but I feel a bit more confident knowing what Demidov is going to become. Whereas with Slav, you're right, it's still a bit of it can go in 5 different directions, but I'm becoming more and more confident all 5 of those directions is a really good hockey player.
Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah. Okay, so part 2 of the episode, we're going to do some either ors. We've drafted up 6 of them because we're sociopaths. Brian, I put up 3, you put up 3. We're going to rotate so we can go back and forth a little bit.
Cool.
Well, let's just start it off. Let's do a nice, easy question to get us going. Brian, who will finish higher in Norris voting? Noah Dobson or Lane Hutson?
So I think you're tongue in cheek saying this is an easy question, but I actually agree with you that it's easy because the people who vote on this are not you and I. It's a lot of people who don't necessarily see every team because who can watch 32 teams worth of hockey? So the Norris very often becomes a point total contest, especially when you're not in like the top 3, which I don't think Hutson or Dobson are going to be. The guys lower down that don't necessarily get watched as much, they go, oh, okay, this guy had 58 points. This guy had 49, similar time on ice. Okay, I'm giving it to the 58-point guy. So I think it's Hutson. He has the advantage on the power play to be able to put up more points. That first unit gets more time, obviously, and has much better players. Like now that Demidov is on there, they're world beaters. So I think it's Hutson. Now, if you had asked me who should, I don't know the answer to that question because, yes, offensively, Hudson's been great and he's going to get more chances on the power play than Dobson will, and he's already eclipsed him a little bit in terms of assists, like 12 to 10, not that big a difference. I think the stuff that Dobson does in the defensive zone in transition, Hutson can learn a ton from him. So I think it's a neck and neck race from a hockey perspective. Unfortunately, the way that these votes go, oftentimes it's just, oh, he had more points. Give it to Hutson.
I think it's a very fair statement. Look, I think Noah Dobson has been one of the 2 or 3 best players on the team this year.
Yeah.
We're both going to put Cole Caufield almost definitely above him, and then we can talk about Suzuki. That's kind of how I view the top 3 right now. Not to say Lane Hutson hasn't been great. He has been. But just for some context of like who actually we think so far has been the best defenseman, it's been Dobson. Hudson finished 9th last year in voting. The year before, Dobson finished 8th, by the way. So there's some precedent of Dobson getting votes. But I thought it was kind of interesting because I first had a slightly different either or question, still surrounding these 2 players. 2 defensive teammates getting Norris voting is pretty rare. Now, beyond the clearly the local reporter each giving one cursory vote, like I believe both Carlson and Chikrin got vote last year, but that's just nonsense. 2 years ago, Evan Bouchard finished 5th and Matthias Ekholm finished 12th. Now Ekholm only got like 6 or 7 votes. That's probably the only time in the last couple, 3, 4, 5 years where 2 teammates have both been able to get votes. So that's kind of where it becomes interesting and who the voters are going to prioritize here. Odds are Lane Hudson's going to finish with more points. Now, I think it's really interesting how the Canadians have 3 of the, in terms of even strength points, for defensemen, the Canadians have 3 guys in the top 10. Don't forget about Mike Matheson.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say.
like the production at 5-on-5 for Noah Dobson has been unreal. I mean, again, Lane Hudson too. They're very much neck and neck, and it's been really interesting to see. But I tend to agree with you. I think Hudson's probably going to finish with 10 to 15 more points. Their ice time, again, it's been like pretty neck and neck. It's been, I think, slightly more to Hudson.
Yeah,
which
30
has been
seconds.
Yeah, and who knows how
Barely.
Gooley coming back affects the math on ice time, right?
Right.
But it's a fun conversation to have because legitimately the Canadians have 2 of the best 20 defensemen in the NHL, and then you have the Mike Matheson question, which we're gonna get to in like 6 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to not jump in with some Mike Matheson stuff right now, because yeah, that's a fascinating case. All right, I'll do my first one here for you, Jordan. Who would you be most interested? Sorry, in the Canadians re-signing, Doc or Bolduc? They are both RFAs at the end of this season. Both of them, I think, are in the process of figuring out who they are as Montreal Canadiens, and I think it's a fascinating question. Who are you most interested in re-signing, Doc or Bolduc?
The phrasing is interesting, right? Most interested, not most likely. And I think if you asked me this 3 weeks ago, I think if you asked a lot of people this question 3 weeks ago, you would have gotten a different answer. So I'm trying to avoid being a prisoner of the moment, right? Kirby Dach has had his best stretch of hockey in almost 2 years, 3 years.
Yep.
Zach Modzik had the crazy hot start, has really cooled off, but he's still contributing to the team. This is going to sound, especially with the way his season has started, like a bit mean. And not that I don't believe in him, but it feels like a lot of eggs are being put in the Michael Hage basket. And look, I think it's very unlikely he's ready to go next season. And even if he is, I don't think he's a second line center next season. Like if he does make the hockey team, like if he makes the Habs next year, I think he's a winger. And they go the Suzuki route with him. Or they just stick him in Laval for the year. I think he's done with Michigan after this season regardless.
Yeah.
Most interested, it's the center. Like it's not even the tiebreaker. I think the Canadians are in this interesting position right now. You got Suzuki at 1C, and then it's just kind of feels like open auditions for every other center role. I mean, I know Jake Evans is the 4th line center, but like Kapanen, Doc, Hage, and it just feels like a lot of people are being like, no, don't wait for Hage, and like we're not doing any trade stuff. Trust me, we'll get to it at the quarter point of the season. The Hage discussion looms large in all of this, and so because of all that, the more important guy to re-sign is Kirby Dach. Doc's older, the contract's going to cost you more. It's UFA years, blah, blah, blah. Bolduc is great. I have no doubts that Bolduc will be on the team next year. Like I'm more confident in him being on Bolduc still being on the team than Doc is. But who am I more interested in the Habs re-signing? It's Kirby Dach because he's a center.
Yeah. Okay. I think I agree with you. I think that's the right answer. And yes, Bolduc's probably more likely, but Doc would probably be the one where you're like, okay, good. At least we have one more option in terms of centering. A lot of people believe that Hage, forget next season, by the end of this season, will be ready to take on at least a 3rd line centering role, which I also think is premature. I'm not sure. I know he's unreal, but there's more to NHL hockey than being a sublime offensive player. And I know he does have other elements, but a lot of things are going to have to get ironed out before he comes into the proest league in the world. Like some simmering in the AHL is probably required.
So here's the thing, and this is a can of worms. There's essentially an open audition for the 12th forward spot on the Montreal Canadiens right now. No one's grabbed it, right? We talked about Owen Beck versus Oliver Kapanen was supposed to be the battle for the 12th forward. Kapanen's done so well with Demidov. He's graduated out of that. Patrick Laine struggles early in the season, kind of bumped him down to that number. He's out now. Joe Veleno's in. Veleno's been kind of whatever, not as... I mean, it shouldn't be surprising, but he's not been as impactful as we thought he might be during his preseason run. Again, that should have been a bit more obvious, maybe.
Yeah.
Florian Jackie's not been off to the best start. You have someone like Jared Davidson who's been really good, and at what point do the Canadians finally give him his NHL debut? I would presume it's coming soon. I've already mentioned Owen Beck. Josh Roy's gotten a bit of an audition again with the Canadians. Like, it's very much like we don't know who the 12th guy is, and that does kind of affect the makeup of the bottom 6 because depending who you're calling up, the Evans line looks different. And that's where I can see an avenue for Michael Hage stepping in as more of we're saying 12th forward. He'd be a 3rd line forward, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's the 12th guy of we know who the 11 are, more or less. That's I think where the justification is for Hage burning the ELC year once Michigan season is over. Now, if the Canadians are making a playoff push, I think maybe they give him the cursory game. Maybe they give him the Fowler treatment where they tell Fowler, like, no, man, you're not going to be able to make the team. You're going to Laval immediately. I don't know if they'll be able to swing that with a talented center who's going to be 20 years old and wants to play for the team. But like anyways, that's the argument for Hage coming in, is because there's an open roster spot for the 12th forward. That's it.
Yep, there very much is. And you're right to say that fourth line looks drastically different, whoever's with them, and that's clouding things here, because I also don't believe that the veteran trio that worked last year of Evans, Anderson, Gallagher works anymore.
Right.
I can't explain it. I don't know why that is, but anytime they've been put together this year, it just has not worked. Gallagher and Bolduc seem to have a good gel together, similar types of players, crash the net, put pucks on net, that type of thing. So maybe that's it, but yeah, I don't believe in that trio anymore. Not that that was ever the answer for the fourth line long term, but it kind of gets cloudy now. So I think that's interesting. The Docker Bolduc debate is probably not a real debate at all. I just kind of wanted an opportunity to talk about both of these players because it's interesting the way that their graphs are opposites. One got progressively better, the other one started strong and not struggled necessarily, but just hasn't gotten on the score sheet as much. So I think that's interesting from that perspective. All right, let's jump into your second either or, Jordan.
Is Mike Matheson more likely to sign a 7-year contract or a contract worth $7 million a year?
So a 7-year deal would take Mike Matheson to 39 years old. And we're not talking about Malkin here. We're talking about Mike Matheson. So I think that's much less likely than him getting $7 million a year for less term, 3-4 years, something like that. He's comfortably in the Canadiens' top 4. And when I say comfortably, he has the highest by far time on ice of any Montreal Canadiens player. Over 25 minutes a night. So over 2 minutes more than Hudson, who's second, more than Dobson. And $7 million, like nowadays in the NHL for a top 4 defenseman is about right. Like it's much less than the Hudson and Dobson deals. And it's more than Gouli's by 1.5. So I don't actually think that that's a ridiculous number for Mike Matheson. I know everybody's hoping that he takes a similar deal to what he has now, but I just don't think that that's feasible in today's NHL with the cap going up.
Right. Okay. So a couple things here, and I'm happy we're disagreeing on this one.
Oh, that's
so
rare. All right,
$7 million a year is roughly would put you 40th to 45th. It's always going to change in terms of average annual value. So your salary compared to other defensemen. So you are paying for a number 2 defenseman, which, by the way he's been playing this year, the way he's been deployed, you can't call him the number 1 defenseman because he's not on the power play. I don't know how many teams have a number 1 defenseman that is not at all on their power play. So I don't think we can call him number 1, but he's being deployed like a top pairing guy because he is.
Yeah.
So $7 million is not too off. I think 7 years is more likely, and I think you have to. Please don't vomit when I say this. Look at the Tavares contract and look at the Marchand contract. I think that's what we're looking at here. I think we're looking at, Tavares is really weird. Marchand's probably the best example. I think there's a universe here where Mike Matheson, who has been on whatever teams, right? He is in Florida too soon. He's in Pittsburgh too late. He gets to the Habs right as a rebuild is starting. He's never played for a consistent winner. He is actually a local kid who's actually from Montreal, and he's an alternate captain, has a big role in the team, and I'm sure he can tell what's about to happen. So I'm sure there's elements of Matheson that's like, okay, like I definitely want to stay here. And then the other element is, well, like certainly he wants a pay raise and he's earned it. He's probably worth, quite frankly, 6 years, 7.5. That's probably what the open market can get him.
Yeah.
I think there's a universe where he goes, like the Habs come to him and say, look, we'll give you the extra year, but you're going to have to take a discount on the AAV and more. So I think it's much more likely about 7 years around 5.4 or 5.5. So it's a year too long. Quite frankly, it's probably 2 years too long. But
I'd say more than that, man. What is Mike Matheson's best attribute? Skating?
Yeah.
What happens to skaters at like 34, 35 years old?
Right. So the way I would push back is Caden Gooley can't stay healthy. Who is your best left-handed defenseman after Lane Hudson?
Yeah, it's Matheson with a bullet. And I would argue even when Gooley's been healthy, Matheson was a better defenseman.
Yeah.
Tasked with more, which is why I didn't think $7 million was that crazy. But so the one grievance I have, which a lot of what you're saying makes sense, the one grievance I have is the Marchand comparable. Florida's window is open now and is starting to close. whereas the Canadiens window is just opening now. So Florida maybe, if they're lucky, has 3-4 years left in that window. The Canadiens could have a whole decade. So do they want to screw themselves over in, and I know that's mean to say about Mike Matheson, but let's just be realistic. 37, 38, 39-year-old Mike Matheson might not even be an NHLer anymore. Do you want to give him that much term and that much money and handcuff yourself that many years in the future? Like, I know it's a long way off, but the window will be open at that point. It's not like we have to win now because our guys are 34. It's our guys are like 25, 23 on average. Let's keep it open for another decade.
You have to hedge on Gooley and Reinbacher being healthy and productive NHLers.
And hedge on being able to trade Matheson later on to a team who,
so that I don't think it's an issue. That is the way you structure it. Would very much be like, we love you, Mike, but year 7 you have no trade protections, none, no signing bonus in that last year either.
Right.
And it just us being realistic and saying, look, you're going to be 38, turning 39 during that season. The odds of you still playing in the NHL, that's free money, and maybe they can even front load it a bit to where it's like he's getting paid 2.5 or 3 million base and whatever. I think, especially with where we would presume the cap in 6 or 7 years being at 130, 140, a $5.5 million contract is going to be peanuts. So
yeah, that's
anyways,
fair too.
In terms of what's more likely, I think it's more likely that Habs say, we'll give you the extra year, let's cut the money down, versus a 5-year, $7.5 million deal. Anyways.
Now, is there a world in which Kent Hughes pulls his magic again, Went Woos, and gets him 5 years at 6.1?
It's not impossible. That's certainly there. This is his last big contract from Mike Matheson. And I presume a guy who's coming off an 8-year deal where I'm sure he's felt underpaid for at least half of it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll say okay, I might be willing to take a discount because this is literally the perfect situation. My hometown team, we're about to be winners. I'm in a good spot. I'm established on the team. I'm not going to take this much of a discount, right? I need $40 million guaranteed. You figure out how you want to disperse it over how many years. Anyways, let's go to your next one.
Cool. Okay, let's get a little silly. The Olympics are rapidly approaching, and as we've seen over the past few seasons, there's this looming question, this cloud over Team Canada, who, when you look at their forward group, holy crap, how do we fit all these amazing players? When you look at their defense, wow, they got offense, they got defense on D, they're so stacked. And then you look in net, and you go, all right, who's Team Canada's goalie? Binnington or Montembeault? So that's my either or for you, and that's obviously tongue-in-cheek, LOL in brackets. Who's your real choice? That's kind of the question here.
Yeah, shoot me.
If your choice is those two, you mean shoot you?
Yeah, so just to answer the question, we can have the bigger goalie conversation. To answer the question, it's Binnington. He's proven it a lot more than Montembeault has. He was there in the Four Nations final. He's been in the Cup. He has a much better track record, and I'm much more hopeful in Binnington bouncing back than Monty is. So that, just to answer your question, it's Binnington. They've both sucked this year, but I think all signs point to Binnington still being the starter. And I'll pause there. Wow. I'll let you answer the question, and then we can expand on the rest of the goalies if your heart desires.
So I don't watch the Binner as much as I watch Monty Demure. So the way that I've been arguing for Montembeault, and I'm very happy that about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever we had this chat about Monty, I said, just wait, he's turning it around. We're going to see. He hasn't gotten the bounces. And then sure enough, 3 games in a row, he's been quite good. I still believe in him more than Binnington. Both of their numbers suck, and it might be clouded by the fact that Binnington is on a really rough team right now. So it could just be that, but I believe in Monty, but neither one would be my first, second, or probably even third choice to be on this team.
Yeah, if you're being completely unbiased, Logan Thompson is probably your starter right now.
Of course.
And then, I don't know, Mackenzie Blackwood, Darcy Kempfer.
Yeah.
Aiden Hill's been banged up, so you can't really include him. I've been so desperate with this that, all right, I haven't done a basketball analogy or comparison, I think all season. So here we go.
First of all, that's so not true, but go ahead. You
really?
do one a week.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyways, so in 1992, despite the fact that he had not played in a year, other than I think an All-Star game, Magic Johnson was put on the USA Dream Team, the basketball team, because they're like, man, he's just too good. We got to put him on the team. And also, low-key, we need to have him. We need that skill on our team. So Magic Johnson hadn't played because of the HIV/AIDS testing positive, blah, blah, blah. They put Magic Johnson on the team despite the fact that he wasn't playing the sport. Is Carey Price available? Okay, I'm kidding. Like, I feel like if you told Carey, we need your knees for 6 games, you can even rest one of the group stage games. Anyways, that's obviously ridiculous.
It's obviously, yeah, he hasn't been on skates in several years.
So
yeah, that's sad.
it's look,
When is the next wave coming, man? That's what I want to know. I haven't looked into it, but just when is the next wave of actual talent coming in that for Team Canada?
it's if you still believe in Devin Levi. That's other than that, I don't know what to tell you. Which I still do, by the way, believe in Devin Levi.
Is he the one who requested a trade, by the way?
Anyways, times are bleak.
Rough. Yeah.
Logan Thompson is legitimately a really good goalie for a couple years now. Please stop holding grudges against them and let him be on this hockey team. Yeah. It will make them a lot better. Okay. Last one for me, either or. Who is having a more surprising start to their season, Brian? The Anaheim Ducks or the Pittsburgh Penguins?
What's that expression? If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a penguin, something like that. Anyway, this question's really tough. The Ducks are much better sooner than I thought they'd be, but I think we all knew this was coming. Like, this was the direction that team was headed with the way they rebuilt, all their young forward talent hitting their strides already, like maybe a little sooner than we thought. Carlson, McTavish, Seneca, and then Gauthier, who they traded for. Like, that's really good. It's not super surprising that Anaheim looks this good. I am interested to see, however, how they play as the long NHL season drags on. Like, 82 games is a lot for young players. And then at the other end of the hourglass, Crosby and Malkin are playing like it's 2016 again, along with a bunch of other, like a supporting cast of older gentlemen also playing like they're some years younger. So that's definitely surprising. But honestly, how could I be surprised by Crosby and Malkin? They're the literal best 1-2 punch of the past 20 years. Like, their whole careers. Wouldn't it be incredible if they once again won the cup? It would be their 4th, and it would be 17 years after their first, like sandwiching the 2016 and 2017 cups in between them. That would just be incredible. So I think I got to go Ducks, because also their defense and goaltending is not otherworldly, and I just can't be that surprised by Malkin and Crosby being unreal.
Okay, interesting take. On the Anaheim front, I do think it'll be interesting, and this is very stereotypical hockey speak, but like, as the games get a bit tighter and a bit more difficult, I am, not that I'm doubting them because they're scoring a touchdown a game, I'm interested to see how Anaheim adapts. And if Leo Carlson decides he's still one of the 10 best players in the league, it won't matter, because then they'll just be great, and Lucas Dostal's ridiculous as well. Although Dostal is very much, he's slowly getting to the territory of like, they better score 4 goals a game because you guys are giving up so many opportunities.
Yeah.
So I know you said like, what else would you expect from Crosby and Malkin? I'm going to pick Pittsburgh in this one. Look, Anaheim was supposed to be like 85 points, maybe 90. Oh, maybe they can make the playoffs. Pittsburgh was supposed to be in the McKenna stuff. And at this point, it's not over. Hockey's a long season that can go both ways. They've just been, it happens every now and then in sports where a team's like, you know what? Nah, we're not going to tank. We're just going to go win a bunch. And the East is kind of wide open this year, where it's not impossible that the Penguins are there on April 10th or 11th and they're 2 points clear of a playoff spot. So I'm going to pick Pittsburgh. The one thing that's unfortunate is the injuries are starting to pile up for the Penguins. Achari, Tristan Jarry, Rickard Rakell is the big one. Even Justin Brazeau had a really good start to the year. He's now also hurt. Like, how much are you going to keep relying on I mean, Sidney Crosby's just on another planet. Malkin's the one where you're like, at what point is this going to shift? But even if Malkin finishes with 70 points, that's still like an incredible Evgeny Malkin season for a guy who's 39 years old. Like, so I'm going to go Pittsburgh. They've both been surprising, clearly. One was supposed to be literally the worst team in the NHL, and they could make the playoffs. And it's not like they had some huge roster turnover or trade or coach or this or that. It's just, they are better. Whereas Anaheim, Anaheim's been the most interesting team to watch. I watched some Vegas Anaheim on Saturday night, and it's just 2 teams flying up and down the ice trying to kill each other and score goals. Cutter Gauthier, by the way, is taking like 9 shots a game.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Forget shot quality with him. He's like, oh, it's on my stick again. Let's do it. All right. Last one, Brian. And before you even say it, what inspired you to come up with this diabolical, just sewer infested question?
Part of it was that I just feel bad for both of these franchises. Like, I'm supposed to hate one of them with a passion and be ambivalent about the other, but I just can't feel that way about either of them. I can't. like, I just feel so bad for their fans. Those two teams obviously being the Leafs and the Sabres. So who would you rather be, a Leafs fan or a Sabres fan, Jordan?
Okay, so I know you think this is a difficult question. It's actually not. There's a great saying of you can't fix stupid. I think if we slightly adjust that and say you can't fix stupid owners,
Right.
the answer very quickly becomes I'd rather be a GTA fan, because I can't say the other one, versus a Sabres fan. I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of players leave Buffalo, go on to do great things. And I am looking forward to the day that Rasmus Dahlin asks out, because it's criminal that one of the best defensemen of this generation is just stuck in purgatory for now, I think 8 years. Now he's signed a wicked long deal, so it's going to take a lot of teeth pulling to get him out of there. But bad ownership, like we've talked about ownership in the past and what Molson can do and some stuff that he does legitimately do to make the Habs, give the Habs a little bit of an advantage here or there. On the complete other end of the spectrum is Terry Pegula. There's been too much talent in Buffalo over the past 15 years for them to have not made the playoffs. There's even too much talent now, you can argue, for them to not make the playoffs. And yet it continues. So it is, again, I'd rather have corporate overlord telecom owners than whatever Buffalo has. So my pick is the Buds. What about you?
Very well reasoned. I think the reason, so I already told you part of the, like, we're supposed to hate Leafs fans and I just feel bad for them. And then Sabres fans, I felt bad for them since, realizing what a dumpster fire their ownership is and the decisions they make are just abysmal. But the other side of the coin here is it's to have hope and then have it stripped away year after year might actually be more painful than to just not have hope. Like I think being a casual Sabres fan is probably less destructive to your mental health than being a diehard Leafs fan.
True.
Would you not agree?
Yeah.
So from a perspective of, well, if I had to pick, I would probably just be a casual Sabres fan and like enjoy Tage Thompson's goal scoring. But yeah, I think I would just want to be like a casual Sabres fan, watch a game here or there, rather than being a diehard Leafs fan, because that would just be too darn painful. The Leafs seem to be in the process of figuring things out. I'll believe it when I see it, but I say once again, who knew that Marner was the heart and soul of that team? Matthews, it looks like he's finally turning it around. Nylander is here and there, but whatever. I just feel bad for both of these organizations. And the thing is, it stops there though, because I don't want to see them turn it around. So yeah, I feel bad for them, but do I hope it persists? Maybe.
Leafs rebuild starts in 27-28.
Oh,
that's what's happening.
When does the Sabres rebuild start?
Like you joke, there's no hope in Buffalo until they have a new owner.
Imagine having the skill that they have and had the skill that they have had and having no hope.
Yeah. Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, JJ Peterka. I can keep going down the list. Like
you can, but
it's gonna be Tage Thompson. It's gonna be Rasmus Dahlin. It's gonna be Owen Power. They're all going to leave.
I mentioned the other one earlier. Their big boy goaltender, future of Team Canada, Evan Levi. It's bad, really bad.
Okay, well that was cheery, kind of, when you think about it in a twisted way from a Habs perspective. So we'll pause there. I think we can wrap up our episode, Brian. Those were some fun either ors, some that really force you to make some difficult decisions in life, and some of them that just make you feel bad for other people. So with that, we'll wrap up our episode. You can follow us on social media at HabsLandPod. If you like what you heard, please leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And until next Monday, go Habs.